I had a mate who pulled me aside and he said, after about 3 months, I had about 1,000 followers. He said, if you keep going with this, you'll be doing this full time in 4 years. I just went, what are you talking about? How could I possibly be talking about super coach job? And he goes, I'm telling you, just keep going with social media. It'll happen. I was doing it full time in 3 years. People are scared to fail. People are scared of what their mate's going to say. And people will surround it with other excuses, timing, money, all that sort of stuff. Personally, I think the vast majority of that is bullshit. When I was a teacher, I walked into staff rooms and people in that room were taking the piss out of me. I've had mates that 4 years ago went to send someone a text about me and send it to me. But it's those same people now that are messaging me. I'm so proud of you. Well done on everything you've done. And I think people are too scared to fail. I had a deal that was coming through that was going to be decent money, not mind-blowing money, but enough for me to be able to go all in for the first 6 months and see how I went. So I made that call to the school and I went, I'm not coming back. A week later, that deal fell through. G'day guys, my name's Nathan Durkin and this is Life, Money and Love.
Just quickly before we get started, guys, if you've been enjoying the podcast, can I please ask that you consider leaving a 5-star review and subscribing on whatever platform you've been listening. It really helps the podcast grow. I'm really excited about this one. For anyone who's listening that might not necessarily be the biggest sports fan, don't stop listening now. I'm telling you, there's a really important point to this story. We have Nathan Durkin on, better known as the Rugby League Guru. But the point of this podcast, why I think it's such a great fucking conversation to have with you, man, is it's just so universal how someone can take their biggest passion and turn it into a full-time career. Now, go back 10 years before social media, that wasn't really possible. Now we have YouTube, podcasting, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. It's really, really possible. So there'll be people listening that are sports fans, footy fans, great. But if you're not, don't worry. It's not the footy context. It's you, whatever your passion is, whether it be fucking Lego, whether it be makeup tutorials, whether it be a different sport, whatever it is, you can genuinely, with the world we live in today, turn that passion into a full-time career. Now, we're going to go through Nathan's journey about how he was able to do that, all the fucking awesome stuff he's built. As I was saying to you off air, I've probably listened to more of your shit than any of the previous guests we've had on. So we'll talk some footy at the end for the people that aren't interested. But trust me, this is a really inspiring story. It's awesome to see people fucking going out on their own and making shit happen and creating a life that they're excited about waking up. And then that's something I'm so passionate about as well. So thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Unreal little setup here.
Cool little setup. It's the interim. Everyone's like, oh, it's not that bad. But when you see our full studio, you realize fucking we can do this shit so much better. But we'll jump into it. As you were just saying, I don't know if we recorded this, it started off as the super coach guru in 2018. Now, we'll get into that, but essentially what your whole fucking career's turned into now, obviously it's footy, but you're now essentially you're paid to wake up every day and chat, whether it be on a podcast, whether it be on your clips, whatever it is. But what I found really interesting about that is when you're in school, you actually had a pretty bad stutter for a while, didn't you?
Oh, mate. Awful. I can't. And, you know, you can still hear it in my voice sometimes, but mate, when I was at school, it was awful. Like, as you said, my last name's Durkin, so all my mates just know me as Dirks.
Yeah.
I got, by the end of year 12, my nickname was Dirks. It was that bad. I used to, I still can, but especially when I was younger, I'd know what I was going to say in a sentence, and I'd know which word I was going to stutter on, and it would just be head noise. So for me, the letter S and the letter N was a nightmare. Tough gig when your name's Nathan.
Yeah.
Right? So and it got to the point where when you're first day at school, you got to introduce yourself. I would purposely, if I had a new teacher, I'd purposely make up I had a job to go and do or something to avoid it, because I knew then that when I walked in, they'd done the role and there was one person missing and they would say, oh, you're Nathan. Mm-hmm. Sweet. There was once I had a new PE teacher once and he goes, hey, Matthew. And I just went, fuck it, sure.
Let's go with it.
I ran with Matthew and I just thought, someone will pull him up eventually. I'll just pretend I didn't hear it. So it was that bad. It was rattling.
Did it, now as someone you seem really outgoing and confident, I don't know if you always liked that back in high school, but did it affect you in making friends and feeling comfortable at school, or you kind of found your clique?
Mate, I've always been I've always been able to laugh at myself. Mm-hmm. So, and I find that it's something that like for me, I have, even when I'm doing the show, there's certain things that I say quite a bit that have become catchphrases, and people take the piss out of it and you've just got to laugh with it.
Yeah.
My big one is because I do so much on young guys coming through in the NRL, he could be anything. And like when I was first on the Bloke in a Bar show and everything, so nervous, you just go back to your automatics.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's sort of got a bit of a following. And at first I was like, fuck, why are they giving me shit about it?
Yeah.
But you've just got to embrace that side of things that you got to take the piss out of yourself.
Especially when you're doing what you're doing, and especially in the
100%.
world of like footy and footy fans. Like if you can't laugh at yourself and have a joke at your own expense, you're not going to make it. It's just going to fucking crumble you.
I used to say to my mates at school, and I eventually worked that out, that if I just take the piss out of my stutter, it'll be a giggle. So I'd be talking and I'd say to them, oh, like, here comes a good one.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was going to be 8 seconds of me like I was having a seizure on the spot, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, and when it's with anything, if you're able to laugh at yourself, people can't really take the piss out of you.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get over that? Like, was it just time? Did you have to do like
Time.
speech therapy?
I did a bit of speech therapy when I was a kid, but I don't know, it just went away. It was, and like obviously now I'm a podcaster, so the idea of, you know, having a speech problem seems crazy. But like before this, I was a teacher, so I was talking up in front of people all day, and I don't know. I had therapy when I was younger a little bit, and I don't know. I think just as I got older, it went away. I still have moments.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious. Like when I start a sentence and I say I. Sometimes I say it 2 or 3 times. I go, oh, and I've noticed that there's a group of blokes in my comments that call it the machine gun. I think it's unreal, hilarious. So it does still happen sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. I just sort of grew out of it to some extent, but it's also just I'm good at covering it too now.
To be honest, you seem like your voice is like made for like podcasting though.
Yeah,
it's like a radio voice.
It's a unique voice. Yeah. So yeah, I've been very lucky on that front. But yeah, I think it's just a good example of like if there was anything that was going to stop you from being a podcaster, it's a hectic stutter that stops you mid-sentence.
Well, on that as well, we'll go back and I want to ask you about what you're doing before. I didn't know that you're a teacher, but I want to ask about that. But you just said that that's one thing that can stop you doing podcasting. If you have a speech like impediment or a stutter, if some people might be really nervous to get on camera, that will stop them. What do you think some of the main reasons that people or the excuses they give themselves as to why they can't start their own channel, whether it be a podcast, YouTube, whatever?
I think the main reason is that people are scared to fail. People are scared of what their mate's going to say, and people will surround it with other excuses, timing, money, all that sort of stuff. Personally, I think the vast majority of that is bullshit. I think a lot of it is that people don't want to be judged by others. And I was there at the start. You know, I walked in when I was a teacher. I walked into staff rooms and where people in that room were taking the piss out of me.
Yeah,
like I know that I've had mates that have 4 years ago went to send someone a text about me and sent it to me. Little things like that, and that's fine. That's if you're going to put yourself out there. Unfortunately, we live in a society where that's going to happen. But it's those same people now that are messaging me saying, oh, I'm so proud of you, well done on everything you've done. And like that's fine. That's the reality of society. But I think people are too scared to fail. Especially
in Australia, that's the reality, like the tall poppy syndrome. Not even dragging people down. Anyone just doing something slightly outside the norm gets...
100%.
But you know what, I'm sure you would have realised this along the lines. That's happened to me at certain times as well. Not the messaging thing, but people... You know what it is though? In my opinion, it's probably triggering some sort of insecurity in them because deep down they wish they had the courage to do something similar. You know what I mean? But they're not, so it triggers it with them. It's very rarely actually about the person that's doing it.
Yeah, and and mate, like I've been in that position myself where I've been talking to a mate about someone else, then I've pulled myself up and gone, why? Mm-hmm. Why do that? Like I've got a mate who he puts up on his TikTok and everything where he'll write songs and he'll sing them, you know. And I've been in rooms where people have gone, oh, have you seen what's his name's doing? I'm like, fuck, do you know how much courage that takes?
Fucking know.
Do you know how much courage it takes to stand in front of people, give your opinion, open it up to the internet and let people think that they have open slather come at you? Like it's just, I think it takes so much courage to do stuff like that. And I think that you can tell a lot by a person that is just happy to sit there and bag it, bro.
Yeah. I've caught myself doing similar things in the past. I'll tell you that as a fact. I was never the person. I'd never comment on someone's thing. I'd never want to drag someone down. But what it was for me, it's because I've been in business for 5 years, been quite successful, made a lot of money, did a lot of really cool things with that. But then after that was the first couple of years, I always knew, because before I started a business, I was in acting. So like I've always loved media, speaking, that sort of stuff. And I used to see people who had, this is not the right way to think, this is how I was thinking, achieve less than me, come out and start putting all this content about business and life and all that sort of stuff. And I remember thinking, who are they to have an opinion when they haven't done that? But that was just me and my own self giving myself excuses and reasons not to start putting out my own content, start the podcast, whatever, do that sort of stuff. Yep. But luckily I never said it because I would have fucking made myself look like a dickhead and I would have felt bad. But I caught myself having those thoughts and I realized, nah, it's not them. It's making me feel something, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And mate, as you just said, you look at people, maybe don't have as much business experience as you. Like, at the end of the day, mate, I'm a guy that hasn't played a single game of first grade footy, give my opinions and takes on it. So I'm also someone that calls myself the guru.
Yeah.
So there's a story behind that isn't what people would expect. But I think as you would, people see me and see me call myself the guru and think, fuck, this bloke must be so full of himself. Blah, blah. Like, it couldn't be further from the truth, but it's how the business has evolved. And it's become a brand that I absolutely love, it means the world to me. But I do understand when people sort of come at me, oh, you haven't played footy yet. And I'll be the first one to say, yeah. And they go, oh, you couldn't tackle these blokes. Fucking oath I couldn't tackle them. Couldn't touch them. Not a hope in hell. But I've never tried to push that in any other way than that. And I think that people, when they do come across me at first or they find guru, they sort of think, oh, this bloke's full of himself. But I think the more you listen to my stuff, you'll realise that I just love the game. If there was a first grader in this room, I would not say a word. I would listen to every single thing they say and just take it all in.
To me though, like, I don't know if it's because, I don't know, it's kind of endearing to me. It's like, it's almost a piss take at the same time. It's not, even though, and we'll get into this, you speak to a lot of people that know rugby league, a lot of other content creators, a lot of them will say that the guru, who's one of the most knowledgeable people in football, it's you. The amount of time you spend watching games, studying the up and coming, the systems, the rookies, all that sort of stuff, which we'll get into. But you genuinely are kind of the rugby league guru. But what was that name that, how did it start that it wasn't, what was the story behind that?
Honest story, mate. I love my super coach. So I have my 15 mates that we have a draft competition we play in. So you all pick a team, you stick with that team for the year. Our draft weekend's actually next Saturday, and it's my most favourite weekend of the year by far and away. So I do that with my close 15 mates, and as we get older and kids and everything, like, it's what keeps us all close. And 2018, it was about 6 weeks before we had draft weekend. I'll take it back a few months before that. We did an NFL draft. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Outside of that, no idea about anyone else. No idea. So we were doing an NFL draft, and I went in it, and I thought, I'm very competitive. I want to win whatever I'm in. So I thought, I've got to find a way to be relevant in this draft comp. So I went on Twitter. I would search through all social medias to find a guy or like a content creator that could help me. Came across the Fantasy Guru. And I did not make a single decision the entire season. I just followed everything this guy said. Didn't win it. Came like second or something, but should have come dead last with my knowledge. And then I just sort of thought, there might be other people doing this for Supercoach or NRL, but I'm a big footy fan and I haven't come across them. So I started it, and then I started Supercoach Guru, and I was trying to lure other boys from our comp into asking questions because none of them knew it was me. None of them knew it was me. And I eventually had one of the boys lured in, and he'd asked a few questions, said a few things. So I was waiting to spring it on everyone at draft weekend because they were all starting to talk a little bit. Oh, have you seen this Guru? Blah, blah, blah. Not knowing it was me anyway. The day before draft, got blind, and I ruined the whole surprise and everything. But then I had a mate who I won't say his name or anything. He's the most humble guy in the world, but he runs a huge business around the corner from here. I remember he pulled me aside and he said, after about 3 months, I had about 1,000 followers. He said, if you keep going with this, you'll be doing this full time in 4 years. And I just went, what are you talking about? How could I possibly be talking about super coach for a full-time job? And he goes, I'm telling you, just keep going with social media. It'll happen. I was doing it full-time in 3 years.
Yeah, wow.
So without him, and I still probably 3 months, I go and sit down with him. And like he rips me a new arsehole every time I sit down. He goes, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. You need to be doing this. But it's all, mate, without him, I definitely don't think I'd be where I am, without a doubt.
What do you think it gave to you that you might not already had like that belief that it could become a full-time thing? So did you think when you first started the channel that, well, the page only started as a page, that it would become what it is now,
No
and all these
way.
podcasts, Bloke Studios, all that?
No way. Like, I wouldn't have ever even considered. Well, I'll tell you a story. When I started my podcast, it was in 2020. I was driving to work, to school, I was a teacher at the end of 2019, and I was listening to Colin Cowherd from over in America. He does like sports podcasts and everything. And what he does, he puts out his show on YouTube, and he cuts up, I think, five 5-minute clips, and he puts them on Facebook every day. So what I was doing is before I got in the car, I'd get those 5 clips, and I'd pick the 3 that were most relevant to me, and I'd listen to them in the car for 15 minutes, just have my phone sitting there playing the Facebook. Anyway, my mate got in the car once, and he saw me doing it, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I like this guy, he's really good." And he goes, "You know, you can listen to the whole podcast, right?" I swear to God, I said, "What's a podcast?" That was in September 2019.
Wow.
And then 2020, I started my podcast, and now it's become my full-time. It was my full-time job within 9 months. And I didn't know what they were.
Wow.
I had no idea. Just crazy.
So take me back to you were teaching full-time, obviously. When did you start the page? So you started the podcast end of 2019, early 2020.
Yeah.
The page was 2018, you said?
Yes. It was November 2018. Mm-hmm. So I started that, did it for a few weeks leading up to our draft weekend that time. And then I got about halfway through the season, and like it's weird when I look back on it, in about 8 months, I had about 15,000 followers, which when you're doing, like I wasn't doing any NRL, I was just doing Supercoach. So I just tapped into something that grew very quickly. Like to get 15K about just talking Supercoach and nothing else, it was pretty wild. And I started to occasionally post more stuff just about NRL that was kind of linked to Supercoach, but not really. And, you know, I'd get 5 or 6 comments, "Stay in your lane."
Oh, yeah.
Which was fair. I was, you know, the Supercoach guru. Once again, it's bold enough to call yourself the guru, to call yourself the Supercoach guru, and then start telling people about just normal NRL. And then my same mate rang me and goes, "You got to change it. You got to just change it to NRL or Rugby League." And I sort of went, "Oh, I don't know if there's enough in it, blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "You're an idiot if you don't do it." So then made that decision to go from there, and then it just exploded after that.
Now talk to me about being a teacher versus being a full-time rugby league content creator. How did you enjoy teaching? Did you like it? Did you hate it? A lot of people fucking hate their full-time job. Where was your headspace when you made it, like when you first started?
So when I first started teaching, I absolutely loved it. I worked, when I was at uni, I worked at like a before and after school care. And I absolutely loved that. I was with mates. It was unreal. I'm getting married in 8 weeks. The 2 blokes standing next to me, I met at this aftercare through teaching and everything. Still my best mates today. Absolutely loved it. I'd always end up with the boys that no one else could handle because they played footy. I was relatable to them. We could talk, and I absolutely loved helping kids that needed help. And then I went into teaching, and teaching's hard. Like, you go into teaching because you've got a passion to help kids out and do what you can, but then you end up spending 85% of your time doing paperwork that someone at a desk thinks is helping that kid. In my opinion, the vast majority of the time it's not. And what I was really good at was building relationships with kids through their interests. And I knew every school I was at, there was teachers there that absolutely hated me because my paperwork was awful, my organisation was awful, but there were kids there that would throw a chair at them and they'd come and sit next to me and talk and tell me about their family, and I'd be able to get the very best out of them. And that's where I think with teaching it's hard. Like I was talking to a teacher that I used to work with this morning. I was just saying to her, like, looking back on what I do for work now, looking back at what I was doing when I was teaching, they are the most undervalued and underpaid people. Mm-hmm. It's just insane. Like the amount of work you have to do as a teacher, and everyone sort of says, "Oh, you know, you get the holidays." The holidays are more stressful than the normal time. It's just you're doing so much all the time, and I find it so bizarre that there is no one in any industry who didn't need a good teacher when they were growing up to become who they become, and these teachers are so underpaid. It's wild.
And if you pay teachers more, it's going to attract smarter people to want to become teachers. So then the flow-on effect for the rest of society is going to be Even better.
Mate, people don't talk about it enough, the amount of young teachers that last 3 years and just go, I would rather do anything else than this.
You know, I've got a few friends that have done that and they all burn out so quick.
So quickly, yeah. And, you know, not for every teacher, but mate, the amount of teachers that are 40 and 50 that have been teaching for 25, 30 years that have got so much experience to share with you, they're so miserable that they don't want anything to do with you. It's a brutal cycle. It is tough, and it's the next generation that's losing out at the end of the day.
And now, big change. Teaching, government job, very stable. Once you're in, if you have a full-time contract, you're pretty secure.
As a male, I was safe as houses.
Yeah.
There's not many males in teaching. They're very hard to get your paws on. When you've got them, you don't let them go. So I was as safe as I possibly
could. Were you teaching, what were you, PE or?
No, I was just, I was a primary school teacher.
Yeah.
So I was always teaching year 5, year 6. I'd always end up with this class of absolute misfits that were just all over the place, but I loved it. Yeah. They're the kids that genuinely needed help.
Yeah.
So I would teach my classes incorporating playing footy in the playground into it, and the other teachers just look at me and go, "You're not meant to do that. That's not how it's meant to work." And I'm like, "You got to relate to these kids. You got to form a partnership with them." I'm sure you guys were the same when I was at school. Like, I couldn't sit down for more than 40 minutes. I still can't. And I found teaching is so structured, and it's a lot of the time it's a one size fits all, but that's not reality. So far from the reality of the situation, and just with teaching too, as with a lot of industries, but the politics is just so much.
We've spoken about this before with some guests. Like, this is obviously not an education podcast, so I don't understand all of that. Obviously, I think we can all agree there needs to be wholesale changes, and they need to catch up with the times. They need to be less one size fits all, for sure. But I want to ask you that transition. Now, you're going from that, as you said, very secure job to, I'm going to have to fucking make money for myself as a content creator. Talk to me about the planning phase. Did you have a chat with your missus? Were you with your partner then?
Yeah.
How does that chat go when you think? Oh,
well, mate, I will stand by this till I'm in a grave. I am so lucky that I've got her. I pretty much went to her and said, we're planning to buy a house, wanted to have a family, wanted to get married soon. And I pretty much went to her and said, I'm going to leave my I'm thinking about leaving my really stable job to take a punt on becoming a paid expert on something I've never done. And she went, fuck it, go for it. Let's do it. We'll make it work. And without that,
that's so good.
Oh, mate, it's the best thing in the world. It's little things like last Saturday, like 2 Saturdays ago, she's like, it was like an anniversary or something. And she's like, oh, do you want to go out for dinner on Saturday night? And I had to say, sorry, the Dolphins are playing the Capras in Mackay and I've got to watch it on my phone. And she just goes, yep, no, fair enough. Like, very, very lucky on that front. Very lucky. She's a mad South Sydney Rabbitohs fan. All of her family is. So I've got to be very careful what I say about the bunnies because I get eaten alive and kicked out of the house. And they're big, her old man, he's big into like the juju on game day. So he has to wear a certain pair of socks, certain pair of undies. The year they lost the grand final to Penrith 2021, I'd come to 2 games in a row with them to watch at their house and they'd lost them. The week after I couldn't make it, they won. They went on a streak after that. I wasn't allowed to go in the house when South Sydney Rabbitohs games were on, so they all get together and watch it. I was sitting at home just watching the game on my own. So they're like proper rugby league. I'm not sure if you've noticed around the South Sydney area, on some streets there's like Rabbitohs painted on the ground. So that was my missus' dad. The Rabbitohs call him the Phantom. So every week, every time they're in a grand final, he'll drive around the middle of the night with litres and litres of paint and a giant stencil and paint Rabbitohs all over South Sydney.
I have seen it.
It's unreal. It's great.
The passion that you get out of fucking sport, particularly rugby league, man, it's crazy. And even like, it's so underappreciated. I feel like this podcast called Life, Money and Love. I don't really spend that much time talking about the relationship side of life, but finding people that understand you and love you for what makes you unique, not in spite of it.
Yep.
That's fucking pure gold, man. Like, I work a lot. I've got a lot of different projects, multiple businesses. And then when I want to relax, like my escape, which not a lot of people know about me, I've realized because I don't talk about it online, is sport.
Yep.
And to be with my partner, Mel, and she is so fine with that and she accepts that and she doesn't like, because man, I was single for a long time before I got in this relationship, and fuck, you just hear the stories of like, boys, you can't watch the footy, you can't hang. I'm like, oh, I don't think I could survive. Having someone that understands you and gives you the space you need to be you and do you is so fucking incredibly important. And I probably don't speak about that enough on this podcast. So I just wanted to call that out again because it's so sick. Now, that conversation you had, thinking about it, she's like, fuck yeah, Nathan, go for it. How long is from that conversation to you go in, you tell the school that, hey, I'm going to leave?
She said, fuck it, let's go for it. I picked up the phone and I rang and I said, hey, I'm not coming back. It was actually really nice. The lady that I was working for at that time, the principal, she was very good. She was fantastic. I'd sort of fallen out of love with teaching and I was trying to make Guru work and I wasn't sure if it was going to. So I went to a new school and I was doing a bit of PE teaching there. So it was a bit more relaxed. And I remember I rang her and I said, hey, look, I'm not coming back next year. I'm going to go all in. And she went, I've been waiting for this day to come. So I'm happy for you. Go for it. And like, that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
I was so nervous to say out loud, I'm going to go all in on this. And the two people I said it to both just went, yeah, I'll back you, which you never expect to happen. Never expect to happen. Then there was other people, there was family members that when I said I'm leaving teaching, they must fell off their chair because it's just not the norm.
Yeah. It's
not the norm. And then I get them all, like people say to me all the time, oh, it's so good what you've done. It's so fantastic. And their kids are 18 and their kids want to do something a little bit outside the box and they go, no, just go to uni. And I'm like, hold on, you can't compliment it when it's done and not want to back someone in at the start when they need it. And I think that, I'm sure we'll talk about it, I just think social media is still the most underappreciated asset, the most underutilized asset imaginable.
Yeah, the guest we had on last week, she's done a lot of things. She's started a really cool business, which we spent a lot of time speaking about, but she's also like a model and an actress and a YouTuber, right? She's young. I think she's like 23 or something like that. So she's very much in the YouTube generation. Yeah. Like it should have been known. Like she was saying, she was making videos in high school and her teachers were playing it in front of the students almost like as like to embarrass her in a way, like calling her out, like, what are you doing? I think that's such a wrong way to look at it. Like, it's so ridiculous. One of my biggest inspirations to get into all this sort of stuff was Gary Vee. I don't know if you know Gary. Yep. Obviously, well, being in social media, I'm sure you fucking do. Yep. It's like you can make you can create the life you want now because of social media. It's right there for you. You just need to do it and back yourself. Now, I imagine if you did that, it was end of the year, so it was over Christmas and stuff, that you kind of had that transition period. You start thinking about it. You've had the podcast for, you said 8-9 months by this point?
Yeah, I actually, the other thing that happened was that I had a deal that was coming through that was going to be decent money, not mind-blowing money, but enough for me to be able to go all in for the first 6 months and see how I went. So I made that call to the school and I went, I'm not coming back. She went, good as gold, best of luck. A week later, that deal fell through. Like we've all been there with business. It happens, and it was. But I'm actually, and I remember at the time, like I almost burst into tears. I just went, oh my God, what am I doing? How am I going to tell my missus? Blah blah blah. And I remember, like, I said to her, I told her eventually, and she was like, she just sort of went, okay, well, we've got to get to work. And now looking back on it, I'm glad that it happened, because it made me work my ass off even harder at the start. And it's funny what happens when you take the handbrake off, and it's you and only you that has to provide what you can achieve and what you can do in a short amount of time. When you've got the handbrake off, I've still got teaching, it's okay. You're not going to go all in. It's like I always think about that scene in that Batman movie when Wayne's trying to get out of that well or thing that he's in the jail, and he takes the rope off and then he jumps. Same thing. You take away that safety harness, and that's why I've got cousins, I've got a brother, I've got so many of these guys that are 18, 19 that are going to uni because their parents think they should. They want to do something else, but they've got to go to uni so they've got something to fall back on. I think a lot of the time it's not something to fall back on, it's something holding you back.
Well, I was actually quite good in school. I got into a law degree. I was doing that. It only took me a few weeks to realize, holy shit, everything I thought I wanted to do for the last 3 years is bullshit. I hate it. And I went from, I was like always top or second in my class for like the last few years of school. And then I dropped out of uni to do acting, which I never did drama in school. I was just like, fuck it. What's the most fun thing I can do? What's a life that I'd enjoy doing? Because I've realized if I put myself through this corporate life, this law, I'm going to be depressed. And I don't care what what happens if I wake up and feel like that every day? I've already lost. So I didn't see it as a risk, but you could imagine my family.
I can see their faces.
My year advisor from school, who I'm still really close to, I caught up with him a few weeks ago, was like, everyone was like, what are you fucking doing? Like, respectfully, you almost, like, you can't do this. And I just told them, look, you got to trust me. There's no way.
You know what my favourite thing to do was? Tell people what I was doing, walk out of the room, then stand in the hallway and listen to the next conversation.
What they say.
Always negative. Always negative.
So interesting. That's human nature, hey?
Yeah.
But, all right, so you've lost that deal, which was going to be, because I wanted to ask, do you just quit and then you're like, I'll fucking make it happen? Or, because this is a really, I think, a valuable part for people who are maybe have something that they've already kind of started, but they're looking for that point that, hey, when do I go all in? When do I go full time? Obviously, that's what I would try and do logically, try and build up enough of a buffer, or I know I'm bringing in at least X amount per week, per month that, hey, I'm not going to be balling by any sense, but I'm going to at least be able to pay my bills, my base amount that I need to earn to live. Yep. Then I can grind to build it up from there. So you kind of had a plan for that. You lost that deal. What do you do now as a content creator, as a podcaster? What do you identify as the channels that you can start pulling to bring in some sort of revenue just to keep you afloat?
Yeah, and that was, for me, that was just, okay, got to work harder. There's a reason why they pulled out on that, because you weren't an absolute done deal. There was obviously some sort of reservations there, or someone out there was doing a better job. So that to me was just head down, head up, ass down. No, the other way around, whatever that saying is. It was just go harder, make the absolute best of this time. As I said, like I honestly think if I would have done what I did 5 years earlier, I wouldn't have been mature enough to make it work. And I also don't think social media was probably at a spot that I could have done what I did. If I would have been 5 years later, I would have been into marriage, kids, and I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I just think I've worked my ass off to get to where I am, but I have been very lucky with timing on a number of things. And yeah, I just think though that people will give you 1,000 excuses why they can't. You just got to go all in and see what happens. And as I said at the start, I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to make a dick of myself. I'm not afraid to fall on my face. It's going to happen in life. I would, and if you would have said 2 years before I quit teaching, if you would have said to me, you're going to do this for the rest of your life, if I was being honest, I would have said, I don't want to, but yes, I will, because this is what people do. You just make it work. You just stick in it. This is what I'm doing. This is what I do, which now I look back and just think, you muppet. Why on earth would you just settle? Because that's what everyone else does.
That's exactly the message that I'm so passionate about, man. Like, you used to see people living these dream lives, right? When I was acting, whether it be someone like winning fucking Academy Awards, when it was business, all these people starting successful businesses. If you're into content creation, you see all these people, like you would be someone just starting or someone wanting to start, be like, fuck, that guy's got it made. That people start seeing these people living the lives that they aspire to live, as like they've won some imaginary lottery that they weren't invited to attend. Like people have this doubt that their dreams can never come true. And when I say dreams, it doesn't have to be $100 million. It can be working for yourself. It can be dating that person, starting that channel, whatever it is. But for some reason, people have this blockage from actually believing that they themselves can live a life that they actually really enjoy. That's why I like having people on from all walks of life, business, sports, actors, artists, comedians, to show people so many different examples that no, we're not special. We just decided to do it. We had luckily enough self-belief or enough support around us to encourage us along the path when it got hard. Put in the fucking work and it can happen.
Yeah. And I think a big thing is, and I think in society today, especially on social media, no matter what you're doing, like for example, when I was a teacher, if I wasn't doing well at teaching, my family and my friends would have no idea. If I'm not doing well at social media, it's there, 8 views, 7 likes. The numbers are there to be seen. And I think that I see it every day. It rattles. I see people that are content creators that upload stuff and it doesn't do well in the first hour and they delete it. And you're just like, why? You believed in it when you put it out. Like, it's going to hit some people just because it's not going for your thousands of views or whatever it might be. Don't stop doing what you're doing. And that's where mate, some of the stuff I've tried on my podcast that has just flopped unbelievably. But I'm just a big believer in throw shit at the wall, see what sticks. If it works, run with that. If it doesn't, move on to the next thing. I'll give you an example. During COVID, I thought, what can I do that's a little bit different? I started opening footy cards live on Instagram every day at like 3 o'clock or whatever. And the first time I did it, I got absolutely punished in the comments. What the hell is this? No one wants to watch this, blah, 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 blah. By the end of it, 2 months later, I was opening packs of cards and I was giving all the cards away at the end of the week. I just give the whole box to someone. And mate, I had 800 people sending me messages to see if they could have the box of cards. And it's such a small thing. And it led to, I do it on my podcast still. I open a pack of footy cards on the podcast. People can't even see them. You can hear me opening the packet and I get out a player and I just talk about what I remember about that player. It's some of my best content. I couldn't think of anything worse than listening to that personally. But it was something that I didn't know if it would work. I threw it at the wall. It worked. People enjoy it. And now it's like a regular part of what I do. And it's so simple. And at the start, all I got was negativity off the back of it. But I just thought, we'll see what happens.
I find that so weird. I really try and understand that. And I don't want to say that in a judgmental way, like looking down on anyone. But why people's first reaction is to, even if you don't love it, just keep it to yourself. You don't need to try and bring people down. You know what I mean?
It's one of life's great mysteries for me. Why, if I'm sitting at home and I see something on TV that I don't like, do you scream abuse at the TV or do you change the channel? Mm-hmm. But on social media, you see something you don't like the way that people get so personal and spray individuals and everything. But, and in rugby league, it's bad, if I can get so many comments of people, all this negativity, and it doesn't really affect me anymore. It is what it is. Not everyone's going to like it. That's fine. But the negativity that gets thrown around, and then we have a tragedy in rugby league, and it's all about mental health for that week.
Yeah,
everyone's on board, and then the week later, everyone's back to just giving shit, laying crap into each other. It's just I find it so hard to understand, and maybe it is because, there's obviously a lot of guys that are probably doing it a lot younger, less mature, all that sort of stuff. And I don't know, maybe I was one of those guys when I was younger too. I quite possibly might have been, I don't remember, but I find that mindset so bizarre of people needing to put others down.
Yeah.
Scroll. There's a million other things on your phone. Keep going.
I think this might have came up briefly in one of our earlier podcasts, but it was like the Paul Green tragedy happened. Extremely sad. Yeah. And then the next week, after everyone's about checking on your mates, be kind, you don't know what people are going through. I can't remember who it was. Some winger has a shocker. Everyone's like, mate, you're so shit. Necky said all this stuff. I'm like, guys, do you not realize what happened the week before? What happens if this guy was feeling down, fragile? Because like we all said, we all agree, we don't know what people are going through.
Mate, I always say, and I hope it doesn't happen, but I think it's a matter of time until we have a tragedy with a ref, because mate, the amount of stuff they cop in rugby league is unbelievable. It is, I'm probably a little bit biased because I actually taught a referee's daughter, and she used to come in on a Monday bawling her eyes out because Dad got abused in the street the day before with his 8-year-old daughter holding his hand, throwing stuff at him. I find it unbelievable how in rugby league and in media in general, the way that they attack referees if they make a mistake. It's like your team missed 30 tackles and made 15 errors, and you're trying to tell me that your team lost because that guy. I think that it's an attitude we really need to change in rugby league. And I've always said, people get upset when I say it, if the referee decides the game for you, you haven't done enough. Simple as that.
It's a really good point. And I don't think it's spoken about enough, because when you said, I'm just like, yeah, dude, fuck, those poor refs, that's their job. You know what I mean? It's a job with not a lot of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They make one mistake and the NRL will come out and say they made a mistake. They're sacked for the next 2 weeks. It's like you've got guys in the NRL who, they're making mistakes all the time. Mm-hmm. They're getting paid 5 times as much as referees, but we don't expect them to be perfect, but we expect referees to be. It's fundamentally stupid.
Yeah. It's like, I understand as a passionate sports fan, it is very easy for your emotions to get the better of you.
And I think if you blow up in the 80th minute, 5 minutes after the game, but I get it. That's an instant reaction. If you're on Tuesday still commenting on social media about the mistake that happened on Friday, please.
Yeah. You mentioned something else as well around that like fear of failure thing about you post something, gets 10 likes, whatever. Now, I feel like with the way that social media is today, particularly like Instagram and TikTok now, 5 years ago when Instagram was chronological feed, things were a little bit more predictable. But now, if you're a content creator putting out content for your business, like it doesn't matter if like we could have a video on TikTok, we could have one get 20 likes and then the next one could get 10,000.
Yep.
You just got to keep being consistent, keep trying new things. You know what I mean? It's just part of the process with how business is today, how social media is today. So that thing is difficult, that fear of failure, but it's worse. It's fear of failure publicly.
Yeah.
So people will know.
I had to laugh. With Bloke in a Bar, the first 4 rounds of the season, we're doing like country tours. So we're going to like Wagga Wagga, Armidale, Cairns and Rockhampton, I believe. So we're calling them the country tours. So 2 days ago, we went to a farm and we had like a photo shoot, all of us dressed in full farm.
Yeah, I saw that shit.
And there was a moment there where I was kneeling down and Kempy was next to me. You know, we had straw coming out of our mouths and everything and the hats and the whole production. The photographer goes, "Oh, Guru, grab some straw and hold it." And as soon as he said it, I thought, oh, this is going to look so stupid and this will be the thing that people point out on social media. The thing goes up last night. I was in the studio last night, so I didn't look at it. I get home and, mate, I must have had 60 tags of people going, "Oh, look at this idiot trying to look like a farmer holding straw." And it was so predictable. And even in my mates' group chats, the 2 or 3 mates that I thought would point it out straight away had 100%. And I knew as soon as he said, I went, I can already see the domino effect because it is ridiculous. I knew it was ridiculous when I was doing it, but you start to know what's going to happen with social media and it's so predictable, it's embarrassing.
Exactly. But like you got to realize the people that are commenting that it's almost the point. It's a piss take. You know what I mean? It's part of it, but you mentioned now you're kind of past that. You've been in the game for a while. It doesn't bother you. But did it ever bother you at the start? What's your advice to people that are getting a bit of hate and they're not really sure how to process it?
Yeah, it definitely bothered me at the start, mate. And I still I used to like respond to every single negative comment and try and win that little alpha battle with a stranger with user 53421. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like what? And to be honest with you, there is still the occasion. Like if I'm having a shit day and then someone says something that I know is just utter nonsense, I will quite often find myself coming back at them, but then I just stop and go, "What are you doing?"
I've tried to do the same. It's particularly on like places like TikTok. It's not the platform.
Yeah.
Like you could try have
TikTok's tough.
I know,
man.
dude. You can try.
You want to find some insecurities, chuck yourself on TikTok.
As much as you approach it, generally, whether it be TikTok or Instagram, wanting to have a reasonable, logic-based discussion, it doesn't matter if 99.99% of the time your argument or point is correct, you're not going to convince them. They're not there to be convinced. They're not there to have a discussion. They want to say something and point something out at you. And I mean, you'd have to probably speak to 100 people to convert 3 or 4 of them.
And I mean, from my industry as well, like it's great also though, because like, for example, which team do you go for?
Doggies.
So if I was to say something negative about the Doggies, I'll get a lot of responses very negative coming at me. But I also understand that I have nothing if there's not fans of the games. Fan, short for fanatic. You should be fanatical about your Doggies. And if I say something bad about them, you should tell me to fuck off.
I mean, recently you just be being honest.
There's a lot of content creators that ignore that or don't understand that without these fans, short for fanatical, they're going to defend their team. I want you to defend your team. But just know, it's nothing against your team. I'm just giving my opinion.
It's just a take, yeah. I've never, ever... Or, I mean, with the Doggies, I feel like sometimes some of the bigger media houses maybe do have a bias, but that's not on me to get upset about. I want to ask you about when it started to build a bit of momentum for you. I know there was a moment that Scope had COVID or something. He couldn't go do the YKTR sports show, so you got the call up. Was that around the same time, a little bit before, a little bit after the momentum really started to build for you? Or
yeah, like momentum had started to build before that. But that was my first time I'd been on screen. That was my first time I had any video content or anything like that. Man, I was nervous as all hell for that. I was terrified. And we went on there, and that was prelim final 2021. So Penrith were playing Melbourne that week. And it was just as Penrith, you were like, are they the real deal? They're going up against this Melbourne side that's done it for the last 15 years on the trot. They can't go and beat them. And Penrith pulled a huge upset. And like, I remember me and Isaac sat there, and honestly, we did not have a sentence that included Penrith winning that game. And it was, and you know, and I remember sitting there going, oh my God, I missed the mark by so far then. Went in the next week and just said, yep, got it completely wrong. This Penrith side's the real deal. So yeah, that was quite a daunting experience at first. And then obviously, once I got the opportunity with Kempy, that just...
How did that come about? Did he just message you one day saying, hey?
Yeah, he messaged me, do you want to come on and have a crack? So I came on like 1 or 2 shows at the end of the year to do like the review and a bit of a preview. And I think that's sort of where my strength lies when it comes to like this time of year is my favourite time of the year. It's the NRL trials, it's all the younger guys, it's people that all of you shouldn't have heard of, rightly so, but I'll be able to tell you all about them. And it's good to watch that play out over the season when these guys that I harped on about in pre-season that people didn't know then start to become relevant. My favourite one ever was Harry Grant. So I said a year before he played his first trial, I said, oh, he's a top 10 hooker in rugby league right now. And I got absolutely pumped for it, absolutely pumped. He'd only played under 18s in Queensland or whatever, but I just knew that he was going to be that guy. And, you know, within 3 years, he's the Australian hooker.
Did he play any games for Melbourne before he went to Tigers? Like a few?
No, his debut was he played one for Melbourne. He came off the bench for like 5 or so minutes. But like when I said that was 2 years before
yeah.
Like it was early days, and it's little things like that you know that they start to stack up over time, and people start to realise, okay, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just about building that trust. And for you know someone like Kempy to like. It's hard for me to talk about, but I know that Kempy could have sent a text to any former player he wanted. He chose me, which it was great as far as blowing my brand up, but it gave me so much fucking confidence. It's not even funny. The guy that's a former first grader that, in my opinion, is the absolute king of media, went for me.
It's pioneer.
Oh mate, like he'll tell you that it's Matty Johns, it's Bo Ryan, it's Kempy.
In the traditional media sense, it's completely different.
Oh, mate, it's a new world. And I think Kempy knows that, but he's also just the most humble bloke in the world.
Why do you think he picked you? Has he told you why? Or not picked you, but no. What's your thoughts?
Told me I don't think he ever will tell me. And that's what Kempy's like. Kempy is, he doesn't say a heap, but he'll let you know if you need to improve something or do something. But no, I probably don't think he'll ever have that conversation, and I don't need it from him. The fact that he has me there, that's done enough for my confidence and everything.
And now I mentioned earlier, and this as well can be related to any passion that you want to turn into a business or content creation. Now, to become... Like, unless you're an influencer that already has a couple 100,000 followers, you're an ex-player, you're an expert or whatever, you really need to be really fucking good at what you do in order to get cut through, right? Now, the amount of hours you spend watching footy, analysing games, like, you know all the juniors coming up and got more than any of the other ex-players or the fucking Fox Sports analysts and stuff like that. Talk to me about your process, because I don't want it to seem... Obviously, with having you on and talking about this journey, I want people to see that it's possible, for sure. It's possible that you can make it happen. But if you really want to do it and create something special, there's going to be, fucking like anything else in life, hard work involved. There's going to be a lot of work involved. It doesn't have to be bad. Like, you love watching footy, so I'm sure you're not fucking hating it. But is there a process there? Are you taking notes as you watch the games? How does it work?
No, mate, huge process. There is, I've got my laptop open next to me for every single game. I will keep track of at the 20th, 40th, 60th minute mark where the stats are at, where certain things are that I like to focus on in games of footy that give me a good indication of where they are. I've got spreadsheets that I keep track of all that throughout the entire season. You said to me as we walked in, I don't know how we got onto it, but something about going to games. Like, I can't go to games because if I go to a game, I have to travel out there, which probably means I miss the game before. I have to travel back, which means I miss the game after. So that's completely out the window for me. We did a live show at the grand final last year, which was an unbelievable experience. But so I was 40 metres away from the stadium. As soon as we finished that live show, I got an Uber home so that I could sit and watch it at home, do my notes, and then when it was done, I could start it again and go through my notes and make sure it was also made. It's full on. It's not like I'm never watching a game of footy on Facebook. I'm never watching a game of footy and having a beer. I'm watching. That's my job. That's what I do. And it gets hard. Sometimes, like last weekend, I watched 11 games of footy in 3 days. Which that's unreal. That's great. But when it's exhausting. It is tiring, and we do the Bloke in a Bar show on a Monday. So it's not like I can catch up on those games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like normally on a Sunday night in preparation for that show, I'll be up till 1 a.m. Do I need to be up till 1 a.m.? Probably not. I could probably get away with talking off my head every week if I wanted to, but I want to know that I'm putting out the absolute best product that I possibly can because Kempy's backed me.
You got to respect that. And I have people come in here and they'll be surprised how much I know about them. Like, same thing. I could just rock up and have a chat with someone for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it may be. But I want to fucking make sure I'm prepared. I'm asking other people's time. I've got other people here to film, to edit, to produce. Like, I want to fucking give it my best. So I feel like that's a really important message, and so much respect I have for you to go to that. Because as I said, sport's my release. I love watching my sport. It'll be a Saturday. If I'm at home the whole day, I'll watch like the first 2 games, and a lot of time by the 3rd game, I'm like, fuck, do I really have another game of footy in me? And I love footy, but it's like,
And that's where, mate, like I have a lot of knowledge about the guys that are coming through the under-18s. None of those games are on TV. I'll spend Saturday driving around, having a look. If I know there's certain kids that I want to keep an eye on, I'll go and watch them. I've been lucky the last 3 or 4 years. My brother's been in the system, sort of playing at a few clubs at SG Ball and everything, so I've been able to go and watch him play, and when he plays certain teams, be able to keep an eye on those guys. But, then there's the Queensland Cup, the New South Wales Cup, which also isn't on TV, but there's they might put together like a little mini, which is like a 15-minute clip of their game, and I will watch the vast majority of them every single week. So it's 8 games of NRL, but then it's keeping track of the juniors, then it's keeping track of the New South Wales and Queensland Cup, and people say, I don't know how you do it. It's my job.
Yeah,
it's my job. I've got to do it. That's what I provide, so it is what it is. It's the same as when I was a teacher. I could tell you 150 kids' names that are in that school. Same as I can tell you the names of all the players in all the top 30 squads and what position they play, which arm they carry the ball in, which foot they prefer to step off. Have to know all that sort of shit at the end of the day.
With this, there's no set structure. It's like you're your own everything. Your own. If you don't work, nothing's going to happen. And work-life balance is this weird term. I don't really like it. It's so different for everyone else. But do you struggle to balance having a life outside of footy and this, or how do you manage that?
100%. Yeah, if you said to me what's my biggest strength, I would say that it's I can go all in on something. If you said what's my biggest weakness, is that I go too all in on things. Like for me, the last 3 years, because I've gone so all in on Guru, like balance has been really tough. Like I've put on a stack of weight just because I am so focused on what I'm doing that other sides of my life have sort of fallen apart. Whereas, when I was 21, I was, carrying a few more kilos. I was like, I'm going to lose weight, and I went all in on it. Mm-hmm. I lost fucking 50 kilos in 4 months. Like I when I want to go all in on something and I want to go for it, I will go for it 100%. But it's balance that I find really hard, and that's something that I need to work on. Something I need to find a way, because we're planning to have kids over the next few years and stuff, and balance is something that I definitely need to work on 100%. So that's sort of my biggest challenge at the moment, to be honest with you, because I'm so focused on being the best rugby league personally I can, and I've probably got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I haven't played the game before. So I know that I have to work harder than what other guys would, and I'm willing to do that. But then it's balancing out my life and all that, which is where, once again, my girlfriend is just the best person in the world, because I'm nowhere near the partner that I should be. But she understands that and understands what I'm doing and the direction I'm going in.
But do you foresee Like you can look at life like any sport, whatever, like seasons. You've been in the build phase for the last few years. It seems from the outside looking in, obviously I'm sure you're not content, but you're kind of getting to that point. You're somewhat established. You got a good following. Do you have plans to like implement systems or bring other people on board to support you over the next couple of years? Like, how do you get from where you are today to the Guru vision for 5 years down the line?
Yeah, I personally think that I've taken it as far as I can, but I think I'm at a point where I need to bring other people in with fresh ideas, with new ways to approach social media. A big thing that I'm not doing Guru to make $1 million. I'm doing Guru because it's my passion. I love getting up every day and doing it. And that's where if people can bring me the skill set that I need to lift Guru, I'm keen to pay for them to come in and do it and be a part of it and enjoy what it is that I do and what we can do. So I definitely think like as far as like social media and everything, mate, before I started this whole thing, I was hardly ever on social media. I hardly used the thing. Now it's my entire life, essentially. It's my entire life, and I will, my Instagram account has got Guru and my personal. Like the amount of things I just miss out in my mate's life that are on their personal that I just don't see him because I'm so consumed by. I'll jump on my personal every 2 weeks and I'll say, he had a baby, he's engaged, well, they're divorced, like catching up on all that stuff that before would have just been a day-to-day thing. And it's almost like I almost find at times going on my personal is just, almost boring sometimes compared to the hustle and bustle of social media that I've got with Guru, where there's hundreds of opinions flooding in every day and everything going on and people asking questions and everything. It's a weird sort of spot to be.
That's when you know you're doing the right thing, though.
Yeah.
You're like, you've found your fucking
100%.
calling. You've found what you're meant to be doing. Like I talk about this a bit, like finding your ikigai. Do you know what the ikigai?
No.
You found it. I'll send you something what it's about. It's essentially ikigai. It's loosely based like off the Japanese concept of purpose, but it's like, what are you good at? What do you love? What does the world need? What can you be paid for? Yeah. You fucking found that groove for yourself 100%. Now, we spoke about, I want to talk about some couple last questions before we get into the footy stuff for the people that want a warning for that. But you mentioned that social media is extremely important to you, obviously. To start a podcast without fucking promoting it through social media, Instagram, TikTok, all that sort of stuff is crazy. But are you doing all the editing, all the social media graphics yourself, or how are you managing all that at the moment?
It's always been me. I've never really had anyone that's helped me with it at any point. And I think part of that's also, I don't know if you'd call it a downfall, but I feel like I know what Guru is inside out, that I find it hard to trust other people with doing, and like I'll put out 45 posts a week, and if I was to give one post to someone else and I thought that one wasn't up to the standard that I would want it to be at, for me, I would consider that like a failure on what I do. In reality, does it matter? Would you notice? Not a hope in hell. No way. But for me, that sort of stuff means a lot. Making sure that consistency is the same every single day, that every single post is at the standard that I want it to be at. And I think it's something that if you're bringing people on, I think it's something that I've learned that from watching other people in business and everything, you can't expect other people to have that much passion.
Oh, you can't. There's no way.
It's just not. Like, you want them to. You can pay them as much as you want, but Guru is never going to mean more to anyone than it is to me. And that's just the reality of it. It's about finding the right people to bring on, which is hard. And I think more and more you're starting to see good people that are good at social media and content creation. I still think they're undervalued, but they're becoming so much more valued.
And that's the piece that's relatable as well to fucking business, to whatever it may be. Like, it gets to a point that you're always, if you're the one doing everything and it's in your vision, it's always going to be, in your eyes, the best, right? But it's going to get to a point you're going to have to make a decision. Do I want to have my full creative control over this whole process, or do I want to feel a little bit uncomfortable for a month, 2 months, whatever, bed this new person in, and then have them be able to handle XYZ things, the things that I probably least have to do, that they can support me with, And then it's not only going to allow the channel to grow, but it's going to allow you, I'm sure you would enjoy actually talking about footy more than you are fucking graphic designing, all that sort of stuff. It's just part of the process.
Yeah. And it's, it's just, I think it's, and I'm starting to realise now that it is going to be very important for me to bring other people on. Just trust other people with their skill set. So, yeah, for me, it's about finding the right person. And, yeah, I think I'm going to make some moves on that very soon.
Yeah, I think it's important. I've had to do the same thing, like, because I have so many things going on. Like, the podcast is one of, like, 5 big projects I have in my life. If I wanted to control every word on everything and every caption, I just well, for me, I actually had to give up that desire to control everything from the start because it wouldn't have even happened.
And to be honest with you, like this will sound weird to people, but it's something that I noticed when I walked in here, that you've got your boys behind the cameras here and everything, and you didn't double check if sound was good. You didn't double check if everything. You trust those boys to do their job. I think that's something that I've got to work on as well.
Oh fuck, they know so much more than me.
Yeah, and like the boys have that skill set.
Yeah,
and you've got to back that skill set.
Yeah. Oh, we like so. Yui's been like had his own agency content creation for ages, but me and Joe had a tiny bit of experience with the podcast before. We fucking learnt this together, man.
Yeah.
We learnt this together. So, and that's the thing, like to find the right people. Joe was fucking messaging me for years trying to work with me. Like you'll find your right people when the time's right. Now, a couple last questions before we get into some footage chat. Now, you've been incredibly successful with what you've done with the Guru channel, podcast, YouTube, everything. Now, what would your advice be? Just is there any pieces of advice you would give to someone looking to at the start of their journey that want to get to where you are or a similar place?
Just be prepared to work. I get people, people will message me and say, "Oh, I found you last week. I think it's fantastic, that you've popped up all of a sudden." And it's always going to be the story. It's like people say that to me all the time, like it's an overnight thing that's happened. People don't see there was 2 years where I worked part-time at teaching and I was doing Guru pretty much full-time. I might have made $3,000 from Guru across those 2 years. And it was brutal. It's tough. Like living in Sydney when you're making a lot of money is tough. Living in Sydney when you're making no money is fucking brutal. Absolutely brutal. And people don't see, even when I was teaching, people don't see that I would get to school an hour early and I'd sit in my car and make my post for the day. All the other teachers go down to the coffee shop. I'd sit in the same chair I've sat in all day making content. I'd go home and I'd be up until 10 or 11 at night, every single night, making content, podcasting, all that sort of stuff. And people don't see that for 2, 3, 4 years until all of a sudden I'm on Bloke in a Bar and it's, oh, where'd he come from?
Oh, nice to see you popped up.
But that's the reality of it, and you've just got to accept that. You've just got to accept that sometimes you're going to spend 5 hours making a piece of content. The first comment's going to be, "This is shit." And you as a content creator sit there and go, "Geez, I missed out on dinner with my missus tonight. I stayed at work late. I missed out on this show I wanted to watch. I missed out on this, so that I could make this." And that's the response I get. And you've just got to accept. People don't know. People don't care.
Mm-hmm. And I think that process is so important because if you're one of the people that aren't 100% satisfied with where you are in life, with what you're doing for work, like I was the same. I grew up in the southwest suburbs, so near Liverpool, Preston, suburb called Preston's. I was working in Chatswood. So I was 2 hours on the train, get on the train 7, fucking work all day, cold calling, hating it. 120 cold calls, 3 hours of on the phone work. By the time I'm done, I don't want to fucking keep working because I've just had to do a job I hate all day. Then I catch a train home back for an hour and a half, 2 hours. We'd meet up and we'd be working from 7 o'clock to midnight on the brand, on Happy Skin Co, which is now being able to create the life that I fucking get to live and I get to do all this cool shit. But no one sees the, after work 7 to midnight, the weekends you're giving up. But if you put the work in and you be consistent, like it doesn't have to be 5 years for everyone. It can be a year, it can be two years, whatever, but it needs to start. You need to be able to give yourself enough time outside of work to work on the life you want, because if you don't, and if you're too tired by the time you get home, or fucking there's all these dramas and you just want to switch off, put your feet up, watch Netflix, as much as that can be a comfort, you're going to have to wake up and go to that job you hate every day for the rest of your life if you don't do that. So putting in the work, man, it's such an important part.
And I've got my brother who's playing rugby league at the moment, so I go out and watch his games every weekend and everything, and he's just joined a new team over the last couple of weeks, and I'm sort of saying to him, who's this kid? Who are they? Blah, blah, blah. He said to me, one of the guys in his team. I said, who's that? And he sort of went, oh, his name's blah, blah. He drives from Bathurst to come here. Not a great footballer, but 3 times a week he drives from Bathurst to Sydney and then back home 3 times a week. And then on a Saturday morning he does the same thing. He drives home. And to me, I don't care if he's the least talented footballer there. That's the sort of kid that you would want on your brand, that I'd want on my brand, because he's willing to go that extra mile.
100%.
He's got fucking ticker. He knows what he wants and he's going to go after it. I don't care if you miss every tackle you fucking make. You've shown that that kid screams to me he's valuable. And
something you've spoken about before, I know, is consistency.
Yep.
How important has consistency been to get to where you are today?
It's everything. It really is everything. You can't. I very rarely have days off. Very rarely. And I love what I do, so it's not that hard. But the consistency of replying to messages, super coach is a big thing for me. I see other content creators that are like, don't send me a team with a player I've said don't pick. It's like, that's not your role. Your role, you respond to everything. You're in a privileged spot to have people that respect what you say. And these people aren't watching every single thing that you say. They've got jobs, they've got families, they've got all these things. You're in a privileged spot. Enjoy that. Embrace it. It's not going to be easy, but enjoy it and embrace it. Take it all on board.
You know what I've seen? It's actually funny you say that. Like, the bigger content creators in the space seem a lot more humble than some of the smaller ones that seem to be fucking really arrogant and self-righteous and entitled and like almost condescending.
And to be honest with you, I think I was more like that when I was before it got bigger too, because you always feel like you're trying to prove yourself.
Got that chip on your shoulder.
And that's where it comes back to. You post a video and it gets 7 views. That eats away at you. And then you've got to try and lift yourself off the back of that. And I think that the answer is to just work harder, whereas I think a lot of people try and be the loudest voice in the room instead.
For sure. Now, I want to ask you, as I've said, a lot of people know, anyone who's in rugby league in the content creation space, what you're famous for is knowing the rookies, knowing the up-and-comers. Now, I want to chat a little bit of footy before we wrap up, because as I said, not a lot of people know I'm really passionate about sport. And I'll tell you when I realized this, man. When was the Olympics? 2 years ago now? The Olympics was on?
Yeah.
I've always struggled with work-life balance as well, because I've got so many goals and so many things I want to achieve. And, business is my priority, making sure I can create the life that I want. But I remember, I think it was when all the lockdowns were on and shit, so everyone was working from home anyway, and the Olympics were on, and a lot of the good sports, the swimming was in the day and stuff. That's what I was really excited to watch. And I remember watching it, but feeling like guilty at the same time. Like, there's 2 weeks where nearly every day I'm watching sport instead of working, because like I feel like there's this perception that I've built up, like I'm this hard worker and I need to be doing that. And I felt like I'm a fraud by watching the sport. And I realized, okay, I had to separate myself from that for a second. And I thought, if I had all the money in the world, that I never had to work again another day in my life, what would I be doing right now? I'd be fucking watching the Olympics. So why would I sacrifice what I would be doing anyway to work for the next 5 years to be in a position so I could do that then? So it was difficult for me, but realizing like, no, like I work hard. I make sure I get what I need to done, but having your releases, having your things that you enjoy, that fucking make you feel good, that make you relax, forget about all the rest of the stresses, is so fucking important. So I know a lot of people listening are in e-com like me, e-commerce, online business, and there's that real toxic hustle culture where like smash yourself, 6 Vs a day, 8 a.m. to fucking 2 a.m. I think you got to be able to work hard, but you want to fucking be able to balance it. And for me, it's sport. So that's something I only realized probably 2 years ago. So it's something that I've lent into, and it's actually made me putting in all the hours I do in work more enjoyable, because I know I have that, half an hour on a weekend to watch.
And as you said, like that release, like my ideal release is Saturday night with my mates at the pub watching the footy.
Yeah.
I miss out on that a lot of the time now, because I know that if I go to the pub with my mates on a Saturday, I'm going to miss upward of 3 games there, which means on a Sunday I've got to watch 3 games. It means that on a Sunday morning I can't get up and podcast and tell you what happened the night before and give my take on it. So, like a lot of that, and that's almost what I miss most about what my life used to be. that I would go to the pub every single Saturday and sit with the same 3 blokes. I probably have the same conversations I had last Saturday, but it's what I needed. It's what I need every week, and that's probably the thing that I miss the most by far and away.
That's therapy for guys. Like girls, there was this little snapshot of a study or something I saw probably a couple of months ago now, but like there was this thing, like if females had to go either a week or a month, I think it was a week, without sharing like an emotion or a thought with a friend, they'd like lose it. Yep. And like guys don't ever fucking do that. Guys don't ever open up and share that. So just hanging around with your mates, having a beer, watching whatever, whether it be a movie, fucking sport, that actually is for a lot of guys what they need to
100%.
just feel normal, you know?
And I think like that's also the beauty of, you know, like I'm so lucky to be involved with Bloke in a Bar, because that's what we do. That's what I do every Monday. I go in and I sit at a table with mates, I have some beers and we talk footy. And I'm very lucky that I get paid for that, and that's my job. And it is like I've been doing a lot of work with Matty the Water Boy, our producer. Like people don't realize how important Matty is to everything we do, and how good he is at his job, and how driven Matty is as well. But how much he's also just a larrikin that you can sit and watch footy with. Like me and Matty have, like we did a show a few weeks ago. It went for 2 hours where we just sat there and we just spoke about our favourite jerseys of all time. You know, and it was just a complete and utter dribble. But if that conversation started with the boys at the pub, you could get 2 hours out of that for sure. And we just do a lot of it on camera.
And see, the thing is as well, not like we're not like, it's at the end of the day, it's sports. And if you're not a sports person, I don't think you understand, but I'm sure you would have got messages from people saying, dude, I've been so fucking down, or I've been so stressed, or whatever. How they're just doing what you do would have a positive impact on so many people's lives. Do you have any examples of, like, has anyone messaged you saying you saved my marriage, help with this? Like, I'm sure there would be.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot. And there's been a lot of, especially during COVID. COVID was like an awful time, awful. And I, especially when I was in teaching, and like you're starting to see the effect of COVID now, and a lot of kids are in primary school that are now in high school that they missed out on 2 years of socialising. They were given 2 years to sit in their room, and they lost so many skill sets. Like I don't think people realise the impact that's having yet, unless you've been personally impacted by it. Sorry, I got completely distracted. I forgot what the question was.
No, that's all right. Let's go back. I wanted to talk to you about footy, but I just love talking about all this fucking journey stuff. But on that, I wanted to ask you about the rookies. But on that, the COVID stuff, that's also had an impact on like the juniors coming through, like the young halves and stuff, right?
And this is something I've been trying to push for 2 years, that these guys, they missed out on these very important years where you grow a lot of maturity, even just being in the gym those 2 years, all this sort of things. And, you know, there's freaks that it hasn't impacted. Sam Walker, can you imagine like what Sam Walker's doing? If he would have played footy when he was 17, 18, those key development years, imagine where he would be now. Like, it's unbelievable what him and some of these other young kids have managed to do. But then there's a lot of young kids that I see copping a lot of grief that you go, they're 2 years behind in their development. And you don't notice it because they're just those guys and they're coming in. But if you were to compare their maturity and their experiences to guys that were doing this 2 years ago, that were coming in, that had that, all that development coming through, like these kids that are coming through junior grades, they get so much information put on them, and it's just what you're able to grab and keep a hold of. Whereas these guys coming into first grade now, they missed out on so much of that, so much of it. And like my brother was the same. He was in the Harold Matthews halfway through their season, just got cut, completely cut. And like it had a huge impact on them. When they went back the year after, they just weren't ready for it. They were not ready for it. And you have to be a very driven 16, 17, 18-year-old to go to be training and to be developing yourself throughout all of that when you don't know when it's going to come back.
Like Paul Alamotti had a lot of hype start of last season, wasn't quite ready. This season.
Jack Howarth, who I've watched him come through, he should be an absolute superstar. I watched him in the trials last year. Was his, people forget he goes out in that trial, he's got all this hype around him. First time he's ever played against grown men. He struggled. He's now had a year down there in Melbourne. the Storm named a 26-man squad the other day. He's not in it.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, but that's I would read that as he's probably lacking a bit of maturity and a bit of development that if he wasn't in that situation, the Melbourne Storm would have drilled that into him over those 2 years. Like you talk about, pre-seasons and these training camps they do. All these kids have missed out on it.
Who's some of just a couple, because I know you could probably list 30. Who's a couple of the young kids that you think are going to have an impact this year?
This year, I think there's a couple of the Roosters. Egan Butcher, who's a local guy. He's the younger brother of Nat Butcher. I remember watching him play for Southeastern when he was 13, 14. And I've always said, I think he'll be the better Butcher. He's one to, I think he will be a real star. There's a kid coming off the bench for the Roosters, Josh Wong. He could be a prodigy. And I love this kid that the Dolphins have signed, this Isaiah Katoa. I think he
did the half?
Yeah,
5'8" or something.
He could be a real game changer. I know, like he was at the Penrith system, and when he was playing, there was managers flying from all over the place to watch this kid. So, as much as the Dolphins haven't got their superstar, the next generation of kids they've got, like if they can just build culture for the next 3 or 4 years, that next group of kids that's going to come up, like they could be a powerhouse over the next few years.
Yeah, I think the NRL's done them a bit dirty with the way how much time they had to
100%.
recruit. Like
they've made it very hard.
Look at round one. Look at the Roosters squad versus the Dolphin squad.
Yep.
That's fucking men against boys. No disrespect, but look at the amount of stars and just fucking freaks in that Rooster side versus those Dolphins.
But this is where the beauty of rugby league, all the freaks are with the Roosters. Everyone's got 2 arms and 2 legs. And those boys, like those Dolphins boys, they're not showing up this year to make numbers. They've got Wayne Bennett in their corner, and I don't think they're going to be a great team, but fuck, I'm excited to see what Wayne can do with these guys because, I mean, if you would have gone back to the end of 2020 before the Origin series and look at our team and go, like, all these Nathan Cleary, we've got all the freaks. Wayne Bennett pulled our pants down there.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
A lot of people are tipping them for the spoon. If you look at their squad, I'd probably have to agree, but I wouldn't be confident on backing that.
No, I wouldn't be confident at all. I mean, on paper, everything says they should, but I just don't think Wayne will find himself in that situation.
I don't think so. Just on emotion alone and experience, I don't think they'll be that bad. And that's coming from someone who's been like a Doggies fan down the bottom of the ladder for the last few years. I know what a side destined for the spoon looks like. A little bit too much right now. But what do you reckon? Do you have an early feeling for premiership? To me, it's Roosters or Penrith from here. But what do you think?
No, I'm exactly the same, mate. I think Chooks or Penrith. Personally, I hope Penrith win it. I love watching what they're building there. I love how I think for the last 20 years in rugby league, everyone's tried to be Melbourne. Penrith have been Penrith from day one. Penrith have just been their own brand, their own personalities. And I think credit to Ivan Cleary that I think and as I said, everyone tries to be Melbourne. Every coach tries to coach the team they want instead of the team they have. Ivan has coached the team that he has. They've had guys leave left, right and centre, new guys in new positions. Nothing's changed. He has built a culture there that I'm seeing it every week and it flows down to the under-16s.
Well, didn't they win every grand final last year?
I think it was only the Harold Matthews they didn't win. So they went, and I think they actually won the minor premiership in that. They just lost anyway. They went SG Ball, they went Jersey Flag, they went New South Wales Cup, and this Isaiah Katoa that I spoke about, him and another kid that's gone to Melbourne, they were the halves for the SG Ball that won the comp. They were then the halves for the Jersey Flag that won the comp.
Who went to Melbourne again?
His name is Keegan Russell Smith. Okay. He's a handy little footballer. He hasn't got all the hype around him. But he's good. But he's one that hasn't got the hype around him. He went from he kicked the goal on the sideline at the end of the SG Ball game to win that grand final. Like they've just got ice in their veins, and the confidence that whole system portrays is incredible. Like you could put that Panthers Reggie team into first grade, and I reckon they'd go close to making the 8.
Well, the thing is, like, because of the system, Penrith have obviously lost Kikau and Coruscant.
Yep.
2 big losses. I'm not really too worried about them for some reason.
It'll be different, but different can be scary. And when you got that team, and like I've said for the last 3 or 4 years, and I know people want to lay shit on him or whatever. Like I think Nathan Cleary could be one of the greatest we've ever seen.
Yeah, if I was going to build a team right now and I could pick one player to build around, it'd have to be him.
It'd be Nath, without a doubt. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. I was lucky enough to have him on the podcast last year, and just I think you learn a lot about people, and you'd know this from the moments off mic with them. Like at one point, Nath, it was all via Zoom, right? So we spoke for about half an hour or so before we actually did the podcast, and at one point it dropped out. And this was 4 weeks after he was the premiership-winning Penrith Panthers captain who won the Clive Churchill medal. And, mate, we were doing it via Zoom. He rang me straight. He was like, I'm so sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. Like, why are you giving me the time of day? Why does it matter to you that much? And it's that there is something special about Nath.
Yeah.
And he's made his mistakes, TikTok, whatever the hell you want. He's had moments where at 23 he hasn't dominated the Origin scene, sure. But, I mean, you look at what he's achieved, and then I think it's even more impressive to see what he's come so close to achieving. Like people always say he hasn't won a Dally M. He's come second twice. Like, an incredible knock to come second twice out of 3 years. And last year he wasn't in the contention because he got
2 suspensions or whatever.
2 suspensions, so that ruled him out. But, like, and you think about the Dally M's that he's missed out on. He lost to Jack Whiten, which everyone sort of went, how did Jack Whiten
I didn't
win
see
it?
that coming.
And then he lost to Turbo, who had the single greatest individual season of all time. Anyone would have lost to Turbo ever. So I think, like, people say Nate's overrated. I think he's underrated.
Well, now, in terms of Dally M this year, Coruscant and Kickout going, more on him.
More on him. And when he wins it, people say, oh, yeah, there's no one to take points off him. He's surrounded by stars. But people forget that 3 years ago, you go back and look at that team 3 years ago, none of them were playing rep football. They've all developed together. They've all come through, and people say they're arrogant, they're all this. If you go back and watch the interviews after the 2020 grand final when they lost, especially there's a great interview with Jerome Luai. Stick a microphone in his mouth. He's at the most devastated moment of his life, essentially. And say, what are you feeling? And he just flat out says, this sucks. I hate this, but I'm going to bottle this up and we're going to come back bigger and better.
And didn't they?
Hasn't it? Like, he's backed it up. Like, and people say, oh, he's a sook, he carries on, which, like, I'm not here to tell you he doesn't carry on, but when it doesn't go his way, you can't sit there and say he has a sook. He goes, no, fuck that. We'll come back bigger and better. And he has. And that was when he was a 21-year-old 5'8".
Yeah. And I think with anything in life, just owning who you are and fucking leaning into that and maximizing it, that's a superpower, bro.
Oh, mate.
And he's one clear example of doing that.
Yeah, him, Brian Totter, like, they're changing the game. They are, and it's unreal. And, you know, it was only a few years ago when they were walking around with the music blaring on their shoulders and everything, like, so much judgment. It's stop trying to be American, blah, blah. Not trying to be American. They're being themselves.
Yeah,
it's who they are. And now it's cool because they're winning and it's okay now. But when that wasn't what Melbourne was doing, when that wasn't what the Storm was doing, it was not sweet for everyone. And now they're like, what they're creating out there at Penrith, I think it's incredible.
It is. And now, speaking of Penrith, let's get onto my Bulldogs because looking very much like
it's exciting, man.
I'm cautiously optimistic because I was optimistic going into last year. Not as much. Barrett versus Serraldo, obviously very different style of coaches. Probably the roster, even though it still needs to do work now, on reflection, still had a lot of work to do in key areas. But I think fucking Gus Gould, what he's done coming in first, making the tough decision, seeing people like Shop go.
Yep.
It's like you can question it because he's a talent, but you got to see Gus as a bigger plan there. Getting Serraldo, all these other fucking Penrith boys, Crichton now, kick out. I think Marnie from pinched him off Joe's Eels will be a fucking... Just in the trial, the first 20 minutes he played, how much better he looked running off that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the future of the Bulldogs organisation? I'm not saying we're going to fight for top 4, we're going to win the comp, but I think we got a shot to fight for the top 8 and to go from where we've been. If we can be in and around competing for the top 8, I'll be fucking a very happy Bulldogs fan.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this year's going to be, and I know we say it every year, but I genuinely think this will be the closest comp we've ever seen. If you just go through the ladder of where it finished last year, Souths, Melbourne Roosters, none of them made the top 4. All of them underachieved. And if you have a look at the bottom 8, like Manly gets Turbo back, they improve. Canterbury's improved out of sight. Tigers have improved out of sight. Titans have improved out of sight. Like there's like I honestly think of the entire bottom 8, the only team that I think hasn't improved is the Dragons, because they haven't signed anyone, they haven't made any moves, and they still, in my opinion, you watch the Dragons every week, you go, they look awful. Then you look on the ladder and there's 6 teams below them every single week. Like, I think this competition this year is going to be so close. It's crazy. And, on average over the last 30 years, 2 teams always drop out of the top 8. I don't know what's harder to work out, which 2 teams drop out or which 2 teams come in.
Yeah, that's why it's hard. Everyone's like, Doggy's going to make top 4. I'm like, yeah, it's good to say from how much we've improved, but who's dropping out?
That's the thing.
The teams are
and I think Canterbury fans should be hesitant, because I think you guys will improve out of side. But if you don't make the 8, you just miss it. You've only moved up 2 places on the ladder, which doesn't feel like much. But I think culture-wise and everything, Canterbury are making big steps.
As someone who's really into the content space, have you seen any of the stuff the Bulldogs have been putting out on you? How fucking good is it?
I mentioned on Bloke in a Bar the other day, and one of their content guys actually reached out to me and just said, thanks, we've been working so hard, and just told me about some other things that are going on there. And I think the clubs that are working out how important content is, they've got it.
It's exciting. Like, everyone I speak to is buzzing. Like, now we don't want to put too much pressure on them. It's a young squad. Cam Serrato's first fucking crack at head coach. I'm willing to be patient. We've been shit for 5 years plus. But the the NRL, and I'll try to take my bias out of it, but I feel like for Sydney, for Western Sydney, the NRL is in a better place when the Bulldogs are a good side.
There is no doubt about it whatsoever. You can hate Canterbury if you want, but don't act like rugby league isn't better when Canterbury. There are certain teams in this competition that footy is better when they're going good. Newcastle's won. Canterbury's won. Unfortunately, Brisbane's won.
Yeah.
I think the Rabbitohs are one too. Parramatta's right up there as well. So when those teams are going well, rugby league is going well. But I think Canterbury, the fan base they've got, mate, is just incredible. They are so passionate, and I can literally see it in my content. If it's a Canterbury day where something's happening, sky high. And that's when you guys are going pretty bang average.
Yeah.
Like, once me and my old man, we went to every grand final from 03 to 19 or something like that. Still to this day, the single loudest noise I've ever heard was the full-time siren of a 2004 grand final.
What a moment.
Unbelievable.
That Andrew Ryan ankle tap.
Yeah.
Goosebumps just thinking about it.
And no one talks about it.
No.
No, it's one of the most unbelievable tackles you will ever see.
Yeah.
No one talks about it. But every Canterbury player I talked to, I had Brent Sherwin on the podcast, and I said,
sick.
What's the moment? And he said that.
Yeah.
He said that was the moment. That sums up the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm almost 30 now. I've been a Dogs fan my whole life. If I had to pick one moment, it's that.
Yep.
So it'd be good to see us back competing. Last couple of questions, we'll fucking wrap this up. I could talk to you about footy all day. Now, we've spoken a little bit before we started as well about Supercoach and how it started with that. It's no fucking surprise that your content, the people that get into fantasy sports are so fucking into it. It's become so addictive for me. While I like it, it kind of fuses my 2 biggest interests, like business, like in a way, like you got to do your analysis, manage a cap, blah, 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 and sport. What is it about Supercoach, about these fantasy sports that are so addictive, do you think?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but it's got me hooked. I absolutely love it. I don't have a team I go for, but like my draft team, which has way too much importance in my life week to week, because it's all my banter with the boys.
Yeah.
I don't follow a team, but I will follow my Supercoach players religiously. I've got first pick this year.
Oh, you do?
So I know I've got Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
So as I said, I'm very much on the Penrith train this year. I need them to do well. And I absolutely love Nath, so I'm so excited about it this year. I don't know what it is, mate. I don't know how to explain it to people, but I'm obsessed with it. I really am.
Dude, fuck. Obviously, the Doggies haven't been going that well, but the last few years, if I had a game on, not Bulldogs, but I had like 4 or 5 players in it, I'm way more fucking keen to watch that than watching my team.
And I think the NRL still sleeps on that.
Oh, fucking missing a massive opportunity.
All you have to do is look out the window at sports around the world and see how important fantasy football, soccer, whatever the hell it is. I think the NRL is, and that's also part of my thinking that eventually when the NRL wakes up and realises that, if I'm at the front of that, it's a good spot to be.
Fucking oath. And like, I think it's massive opportunity. Little known fact, I actually ranked 776 last year. So
lovely. Top
mate,
house.
I'm no slouch, mate. I'm no slouch. I'm coming for you. Now, last question, big one, serious one. Who's going to finish with a better rank, you or Timmy Williams this year?
Oh, please, Timmy's a protector. Got him covered. Absolutely got him covered. But like, I think like people will message me and go, "Oh, I know you guys just put it on for the show." Fuck that. He's one of my mates. I want to beat him in everything.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
exactly the same, you know.
Yeah.
I working with Timmy on that Supercoach show has been unreal.
It's fun.
Really enjoyed that.
I think it's easily like I don't have that much time to watch all the shows like I used to. But somehow Beers and Break-Evens compared to the other maybe solo Supercoach shows, it somehow covers the best information, but it's still really entertaining and digestible. Yeah. I think you've got some fucking secret magic there. Now, as you can see, we've got on the cameras your Guru merch. You've got some stuff on your site. Where's the best place anyone wants to find you, your content, podcast, your gear? Where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, probably put most of my stuff on Instagram at Rugby League Guru, Twitter, TikTok. YouTube's a big thing for me this year. I'm putting a lot of effort into that, producing a lot of content there. And yeah, I've got rugbyleagueguru.com.au with all of our merch and everything there. I think we're going to have a bit more stuff coming over the next couple of months too. So
yeah, and dude, the branding's fucking sick. It's clean. It's exactly what you said. It's like pays homage to the old, but it's fucking really clean and really cool still with today's stuff. So excited to watch you grow that. If you ever fucking want to bounce any e-com stuff for your business, any of the product stuff, my DM's always open for you, bro. But thanks again. You've given us so much of your time. I know you're fucking one of the, honestly, for people that might not know, one of the biggest, best sports channels in all of Australia, without a doubt. As I said, I fucking watch your stuff as much as I get time for. So thanks again, bro. We'll be in touch and good luck for the season, eh?
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, bro.
Up the doggies.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode or you got something out of it, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, do your friends a favor and share this with them and they can come along on this journey with us. Thanks again and I'll see you next time.